What if one of the most important signals for the entire U.S. economy wasn't coming from some analyst on Wall Street, but from the aisles of your local hardware store? Today, we're going to unpack a pretty critical warning that's coming from Home Depot and what it might be telling us about where things are headed.
So, what kind of hardware store really tell you about the economy? I mean, it seems pretty simple, right? It's just a place for hammers and paint. But actually, how we spend our money at Home Depot is a direct reflection of two huge economic drivers. First, our willingness to spend on big-ticket projects, which is a great measure of consumer confidence. And second, the health of the housing market itself. Let's break down what it's telling us right now.
So what's the warning sign? It's this number, 0.2%. Now, after you adjust for inflation, that is essentially zero growth. For a massive retailer in what's supposed to be a growing economy, a number this low isn't just a slowdown. It's like someone slammed on the full-on emergency brake.
Right, so why is a single retailer's basically flat sales figure sending up such a strong warning flare? Well, it's because Home Depot isn't just any store, it's what's known as an economic bellwether.
Yeah, economists call companies like this a bellwether. And just think of it like the lead sheep in a flock with a bell around its neck. Wherever it goes, the rest of the flock tends to follow. Home Depot's sales are a direct reflection of consumer confidence and the housing market. When people feel good about their finances and are moving into new homes, they spend money on renovations. When they're not, well, that's how you get 0.2%. And you better believe Wall Street noticed immediately. The second this news was released, even before the stock market officially opened, the company's shares dropped 3%. And that's part of a larger slide of about 8% for the year. This isn't just a bad day for one company. This is the financial markets reacting to what they see as a serious economic warning.
Okay, so to understand Home Depot's slowdown, we have to look at the main cause. And it all really comes down to what you could call the frozen housing effect.
It's a super clear domino effect. It starts with high mortgage rates, right? They're stuck in that 6 to 7% range. That makes it incredibly expensive to buy a new home, so the market just freezes up. People stay put. And when you're not moving, you are not spending thousands on remodeling projects or new appliances. That exact chain reaction leads directly to a slowdown at Home Depot's checkout.
And this isn't just speculation. This is coming directly from the top. Home Depot's CEO, Ted Decker, he confirmed it, pointing to consumer uncertainty and pressure in housing. In other words, people are nervous about spending, and the frozen housing market is the main reason why.
But the frozen housing market isn't the only problem here. A few other factors have all kind of converged at the same time, creating what's basically a perfect storm of pressures on the company and, of course, its customers.
So on one hand, you've got unpredictable things like the weather. A milder storm season might sound like great news, but for Home Depot, it means a lot less spending on emergency repairs. Things like roofing, plywood, and generators. And then on the other hand, you have a much more predictable problem, the ongoing issue of tariffs on imported goods.
And to understand the tariff issue, you have to realize that nearly half of everything Home Depot sells comes from outside the United States. This makes the company incredibly exposed to taxes on imported goods. And when those import costs go up, that extra expense has to go somewhere.
And that cost, well, it ultimately lands on the customer. The company's CFO, Richard McPhail, said there will be modest price movement. And let's be honest, that's just corporate jargon for prices are going up. This adds yet another layer of pressure on consumers, which can slow down demand even more.
So we've connected the dots from mortgage rates all the way to store sales. But what does this slowdown at one company really mean for the rest of us?
Ultimately, Home Depot's challenges aren't just about one company. They're a mirror reflecting what's happening across the whole economy. Consumers are tightening their belts, and the housing market, a really critical engine for growth, is under serious strain.
And this brings us right back to that central idea of the bellwether. If Home Depot's performance really does predict future trends, its current slowdown is a really clear signal of caution. It suggests that some chalky economic waters could be ahead for all of us.